Welcome to another episode of Greatman Ayilara teaching, where we seek simply to know. Please ensure to subscribe to this YouTube channel, turn on the notification button, and to share with your friends. Welcome to another episode of Greatman Ayilara teaching, where we seek simply to know. Please ensure to subscribe to this YouTube channel, turn on the notification button, and to share with your friends. Hello, everybody, and welcome again. My name is Greatman Ayilara. It's a fresh episode today and very interesting, I must say. I got the query and I am wondering, where do I start from? How do I start explaining this critical question to my people, especially people of African descent in this part of the world? Pretty much difficult for you to understand that only you determine what happens with your life and to your life. It's so difficult. But the truth is, the day you know and accept the fact that if it is good, it's you. If it is bad, it's you. Until that day, you will never be able to move out of the realm of ordinary person to extraordinary human. What happens to people who do not want to take responsibility for their action is that they don't maximize their potential. Now, this question of can the devil use humans? It's pretty much dicey, because you need to understand that you can only use what you made. If you didn't create it, if you don't know the whereabouts, in the times of using here, you can make use of it. And if you have the opportunity to make use of it, you will make a mess of it. You'll make a mess of it. You'll make a mess of it so much that the instrument or the tool never survive for another day to be useful. But the devil can use you temporarily and then leave you to be successful somehow, or allow you to be better the next day, just to come another time and use you. The devil in terms of the devil that you intended it to be. But before we begin to say, okay, can it be you or not? Before we think we'll be given so much credit and attributes of being used or being a user, we must know how it came into being, the reason for its existence. How was it created? Now, for a moment, take your mind off everything you have read before about the creation of this so-called devil for a moment. Now, let's trace it back to who you call God. There is a difference between God, as you have known it to be, and the source of creation or the source of life. Huge difference. between God, God, and the source of creation, the force behind creation. So when I say there must be a force behind creation, there must be a force behind creativity, there must be something behind the life that we live. Without putting a name on it, you can explain the operation of that force. But when I put God as the one responsible for all these things, when you have a new experience that has not been documented before, there is possibility for you to not be able to fathom that even God can do this. So all the while you have been painted to see God as the one who does only the beautiful thing in this world. And because you have been sold that God, they need to sell you an antidote also in order to balance the equation. The people who sold you the God that did all the beautiful things in the world also sold you the devil that is doing all the bad things in the world, but they refuse to tell you that both the devil and God are mates. They do not want to agree with that, but they agree that devil does exactly the opposite of what God does. So if devil have the power to do exactly the opposite of what God does, that shows that they are of the same power. Only that they now make use of their power in different manner. So they don't want to equate devil to God, but they still want you to believe that only the devil is responsible to the opposite side of God. Isn't that funny? But when I said there is a source of creation, what I'm trying to tell you is that both what you call God, both what you call devil, both what you call evil, both what you call good, emanated from somewhere. And because they emanated from somewhere, wherever they emanated from is more superior to them. And then you begin to talk about choices and decisions. Every creature in the world is a creature of choice, and they have the power to also be able to reproduce in their own order. That shows they have the power to give life in the order of the force that created them. So the ability to give life does not necessarily mean that you will give life to a good thing or a bad thing. You have the choice to now use your ability to give life either to apply it to a good thing or to apply it to a bad thing. Now, that is not the fault or the responsibility of the source of creation. It is now your own responsibility. So when you choose to give that attribute, the life-giving attribute of the force of creation that made you into a being, and you choose to give it or put it behind a bad thing, evil emanates. And then because you don't want to take responsibility for that, you are quick to say it is the devil that did that. But whenever it is you put your life-giving ability behind a good thing and great things happen, you also do not want to take responsibility. You say, God is responsible for that. But what is responsible for God or devil? The spirit of life. So as a seeker, we do not seek God. We do not seek the devil. We seek to know the way of the spirit of life. And in seeking to know the way of the spirit of life, we take responsibility for our actions. Now, as a creature that was created by the force of life or the source of life, when you understand fully that you cannot put a definition on this supreme being, you'll be able to live to your maximum potential. Why? Because now you don't judge your experience in life according to what you have read about the so-called God. You only judge your experience in life according to your own decision and your own action. your actions, your inactions, your decision, and your indecision. Because now you begin to see the source of life as a neutral force, a very neutral force that can be applied to anything that you have decided. Can be applied to anything that you have decided. Now, if you are a Christian, you must have read in your Bible about who God is. That's why I said there is a difference between the spirit of life or the source of life and God. When you were reading about God, you realize that there are some attributes that was used to define who God is. And that attribute puts that person in a box. So whatever that person is not able to do, or whatever you think they have told you that the person is not capable of doing, you automatically look for who else will be responsible for that, and that is the devil. So the same people who gave you God also gave you the devil. If you also read Quran before, you must have read about Ashitan and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. All of the things are things that religion gives to you to make you unintelligent. And because you are a product of memory, all you did was to memorize a book and live the rest of your life with it. The ability to reach your full potential and ability to be intelligent is devoid of you. So what you do is when someone is engaging you in an intelligent conversation, you are quick to refer them back to your book. And you say, according to the book of this, according to the Quran chapter this and all that. You are never in your life able to think outside the book. And even while you are complaining that I'm leaving religion alone, religion is evil, religion is bad and all that, you still use the same book that was used to encapsulate you in the chain of religion to want to free yourself. And you realize that you have gone nowhere. You are still within the cycle of religion. Why? Because you are a product of memory. You have memorized Genesis to Revelation. You have memorized Fatiha to Yasin. And then you believe that whoever read beyond this one book is not godly. So we live in a world where you have read so much books in your life, so much knowledge you have amassed in your life. But then you don't think of yourself as godly enough. So you dump all of these books and the intelligence in them. You stick to one book to determine who God is. And the moment you are able to memorize that book effectively well, you are seen to the world as a kind of yogi, a kind of guru, kind of pastor, kind of prophet. Why? Because you can memorize this thing effectively. And maybe you know how to speak one or two languages. Let's say you're speaking in tongue, or you just speak something that doesn't make sense, that speaking in tongue, and you are seen as holy. But when you take this set of people intellectually and you ask them questions, so far you are not your reasoning out of that book that they say, I live by this book, you are not godly. Now, when you look at these two books, both Quran and Bible, you realize that what you call the devil now, you can easily see the traces of this devil you're fighting now in even the God that you are worshiping. I was earlier in my washroom and I was thinking, how do I present this to the people and they will understand? And I was laughing. Every single traces of the devil you are fighting now, you can easily see it in the attribute of the God that you are worshiping now in that same book. Now it's the same book that said Allah told them to fight war. Whoever does not follow Allah must be killed during jihad. Allah told them that jihad, when you've died in jihad, you open your eyes to 70 virgin or 72. It has been inflated now to something like 100, just to make it look sweet. And heaven you go to where you have to disvirgin women every single morning, and when you come back in the following morning, you have to do it over again. Looks like hell to me. But I'm not trying to hold on to your religion. Don't let it go. It is your personal necklace. I see it as I see it as chain. You might see it as a necklace. So it's okay. It makes you look beautiful. In your Bible, You have seen where even the one called God told people to go into some certain villages and kill the children there, kill the women there, kill everybody. You have seen this God snatched away the first son of some set of people. You have seen the God rain down brimstone just because some people prefer to adapt to this kind of sexual orientation. You know, the God has done a lot of beautiful things that you will not see reasons as evil in it. So that God that's at the time he was doing all those things to you, because you are a product of memory, not intelligence. You think it's right for God to kill people, to instruct people to go and kill other people. You justify your evil by the name of your God. Now, all of a sudden, civilization began to come in. Realize that you can't barge into everybody's border and try to control their life anyhow. You realize that you can't just come into my home and try to kill me. I'm going to sue you. Civilization began to bring a lot of things in. And because we don't want to take responsibility for what that God told us to do, we create a devil and we put all the act on him. We began to do what I call a sifting and a separation of the act of God. So we put all the former bad acts, the former evil act that we attributed to the instruction of God on another personality called the devil. And this is why I'm going to say either God or the devil. We created them. We created them because of our own convenience. The only thing we did not create is the only thing we do not understand, the source of life. And because we don't put a name on the source of life except the source of life, you find it so mysterious and ununderstandable. You want to really put a definition on things that you are not able to figure out. But we said it's going to be a source of life or a force behind the living. And because it's the source of life, it doesn't know the difference between evil and good. The only being in the world that knows the difference between evil and good is you, humans. And that's why you must be the one who take responsibility for this thing you have called evil and this thing you have called good. The animals surely don't know the difference between good and evil. They kill each other and they feel cool. They eat each other for dinner. It is you that say eating people for dinner is cannibalism. Killing people in mass is genocide. This is tribal cleansing. You gave a name to all of this. And because you are intelligent enough to give a name to all these things, you should take responsibility if you make them come alive by your life-giving ability. Not to look for a God to put in the account, or to look for the devil to put in the account. You get me? You're going to be angry with this message. The reply I'm giving to whoever sent this to me is not going to be very homely for you. But I will say the truth, because lying to you take me nowhere. Is it the source of life? We cannot explain. A male, female, we do not know. Young, old, we do not know. But in our limited knowledge of who the source of life is or what the source of life is, we begin to give him so many names according to our own life's experience. So who the source of life is to you is different from who the source of life is to me. And that is how the source of life wants us to live. Our dynamism makes him relevant. Our uniqueness makes him relevant. But the moment we give a name to the source of life and we give attribute to the source of life, we limit his or our ability in us as human beings. So we are only expecting the source of life to react in this particular way according to our own judgment, according to our own expectation. We want the source of life to kill our enemy because that is what our limited human nature desires or requires. So if our enemy keeps living, we think that they are getting the power from a more, accessible source, which is the devil. So we begin to wage war with the devil and his court, in quotes. And both the devil and his court are just product of our imagination. And the reason why they will always be in existence is because the pastors and the imam and the sheikhs and the gurus and the yogis, they're under it. So they market these unseen things to you and it take root in your heart. You can create anything in the world. Talk about it long enough. Think about it long enough. Recite it long enough, market it long enough, and it becomes a being. It becomes a being. The concept of the devil and God has been age-long debate. Before people began to give a name to all these forces that we want to take responsibility for our actions, people were living a life of responsibility. So they do not blame other people for their action. It's something you can find in your books. As limited as they are in intelligence, it's something you can find in your books. Now, take for example, most part of the Old Testament in your Bible. You rarely see a man blaming Satan or devil for anything. And that's why they did so many vast things in those days, because they are ready to take responsibility. But the moment you began to hear the devil your enemy, hear the devil your enemy, your focus on what you are capable of making happen in this world was shifted from being productive and being potentially accredited to fighting battle that is not in existence. A battle, a war that is not in existence. A battle within yourself, a battle with yourself. Just because of the mere fact that someone has told you that there is a bad guy somewhere in the air who is responsible for bad stuff. So when you decided to use your mortal nature to get things done, what you do is to say the devil is responsible for it. And because we have so much to give credit to the devil for, our world is in chaos today. Because we have so much credit to give to God, our world is not improving today. Imagine you taking responsibility for your actions and inactions. Before you make the next mistake, you will think deep, because you know that if it is good, it is you. If it is bad, it is you. But how did we grow up to this point? We grew up hearing our parents telling us that devil will deal with you when you do this, God will bless you when you do this. No, that is not the responsibility of God or devil. As a matter of fact, both of them do not exist. We only have the spirit of life, the source of life. What you make do with the spirit of life in you is now solely dependent on you. You want to make use of it for good? Yeah, go ahead. If you want to make use of it for evil, just go ahead. But be ready to take responsibility. The part says that guard your heart with all diligence, for out of it flows the issue of life. Now, your heart is the manufacturing company for all of these events that happen within you. You're watching me right now, right? Just stare at me long enough. Stare at me long enough. Now close your eyes. Can you still see me? Yes, you can see me. Where do I exist now while you're seeing me within you? I exist in your mind, not on your screen anymore. Now what happened? You are able to create me within you. And because you created me within you, only things that you permit to live or be active within you is permitted to happen in this world. There's when the spirit of life made the old earth and the universe, step out of it, gave the responsibility of the management and your own experience to you. Now it depends on what do you make use of? How do you make use of these things? Would you continually be irresponsible, saying, okay, God is blessing me, or the devil is taking something from me, instead of you really telling us the truth? You did what warranted what you got. It's like a person who is telling me that he is a BSc degree holder and is actually a full-time lecturer in university, and telling me that God did that for him. No, God did not do that for you. You need at least a minimum of master's degree to be able to teach someone for BSc. God did not do that for you. Devil did not do that for you. You you and the person who introduced you did that for yourself. So when you come say, I want to share this testimony to the glory of God. No, be factual. Share the testimony to the glory of whoever joined hand with you to make that corruption happen. Say the truth and you realize that most of the things that you call testimony are actually evil confession of your own irresponsibility or your own act, your decision to disenfranchise, qualify people from what they deserve. So also it is with the way we relate with one another. We are quick to say, the devil pushed me. You beat your wife and you say the devil pushed you. The devil didn't raise your hand to do that. You've been resenting her. It's within you. You could talk about these things, but you chose to bottle it up. And because it resorted to anger within you in a way to express your unpleasantness, you resort to violence. Devil has no hand on it. You did all that by yourself. Okay, it is God that helps me to love my wife dearly and all that. I'm not able to cheat on her. No, you know what it's going to take if you cheat on your wife. And because you are a sensible person, you are an intelligent person, you are someone who knows the repercussion and the consequences of cheating on your wife, you chose a better life and then you didn't cheat on your wife. So you don't come to tell us that it's the grace of God that helped you not to cheat on your wife. No, it is because you chose to be responsible. That's why you didn't cheat on your wife. The only credit we can give to the source of life is the fact that the source of life created everything. And in dynamism, we can't even understand all of these things that he created. It's enough credit. Every single raw materials that you are bringing together to make miracles happen is provided by the source of life, right? That's enough credit. What you do with those materials, give yourself the credit. And that's not pride. If you make it happen, say you make it happen. If you learn to say you make good things happen, also learn to say you make bad things happen. And don't train your children to put responsibility of either their own credit or their own demerit on something they cannot see. God cannot feed me. Can he feed me? He can't. He can't. So if your definition of God is the source of life, the source of life has given life to the plant of the field, to the tree, to other things. It is my responsibility to pluck the trees, pluck the fruit, pluck the leaf, make food with it, eat it. When I eat it and I belch, I did that. I fed myself. I fed myself. And for the fact that I'm telling you that I took this thing from here or I'm able to get this thing from here, I am giving enough credit to the one who made it at their own raw state. It wasn't feeding me. He provided the raw material. If I choose not to make my sense or make decision to make use of them, I will not be fed. You can't make a garden grow by just thinking about gardening. Surely the source of life has provided everything. You don't go to a place, empty place, and start thinking or meditating, garden, come up, garden, come up. No, you begin to think about soil. You think about manures. And you think about flowers. And you think about going back over and over again to go and till it and to go and dress it and make it look beautiful. It is your creation. You made it happen. And if what you did is to also make a mess of the garden, you're responsible enough to say, I did this. Not the devil, not God. I did it. Remember that there's a difference between the spirit of life or the source of life and God. Everything that God could be has been defined to you either by your Quran or your Bible. And that is not all that God can do. That's not all that God can do. God is beyond what you have read in the Bible. God is beyond what you have read in the Quran. As a matter of fact, most of the things you read about God in the Bible and Quran are the things that you are saying devil is responsible for now. The killing, the bloodshedding, the snatching of other people's land, the profession of evil curses, and all of those things. Those are the things you don't think is civilized now, because they are not civilized now. You say the devil is responsible for it. But before then, you used to say that this is the hand of God at work. So the God that you know as it is different from the spirit of life. The spirit of life does not know the difference between good and evil. It created everything, became neutral. You are the one who knows that this is good, this is evil. This is bad, this is good. And because you are the one who knows it, you are the one who take responsibility for whatever you make do with by the spirit of life in you. The life-giving spirit that you have inside of you. So I tell you a story about a certain child growing up with his mother. And he will often hear his mother on the phone apologizing to people. I'm sorry I spent your money, it's the devil. I'm sorry I took your husband, it's the devil. I'm sorry I'm not able to deliver as promised, it's the devil. So the child decided to do something nasty, took the mother's money, carried the pot of soup, squandered everything. And the mother started beating. And the child said, Mama, I didn't do all these things. You said I did. Devil did it. And in a rage, the mother shouted, there is no devil anywhere. I saw you when you took the pot of soup. And the child said, so you have been lying to other people too, that there is devil. You speak about the devil so much in this home, Mama, that I begin to think that the devil is responsible for my own creation also. So I felt I'm the creation of the devil. So whatever I do it unto the glory of the devil. And the mama could not beat the child anymore because she created the devil. And the child just took the devil to another level. What kind of devil are you creating today? It is all your act of irresponsibility. So the day you begin to stop blaming the devil for your action and blaming God for anything that happened to you, that day you move from the level of mortal person to a seeker who is seeking to become divine. Seeking to become divine. But as human beings, we always want someone else to be responsible for our joy, for our happiness. So we get into a relationship, thinking the other person will make us happy. We are empty. We're looking for those who are going to make empty also. As human beings, we are scared of taking risks. So we always take our CV all around looking for a job from someone. We have what it takes, but we chose not to act on it. So we become slaves forever. And how does this thing happen? It starts with our own imagination. We create so much fear within ourselves and we write ourselves up. And because we don't want to own on to the fact that we are the one writing ourselves up, we either give it to God or the devil. So the devil can use you in this term only if you agree that he made you. But if you believe that you are a product of the source of life or the spirit of life, only a life-giving force is within you. And what you do with this life-giving force within you is now dependent on you. Are you applying your life-giving force to something good or are you applying it to something bad? Evil and good have no countenance. When you activate them, they just go like that. Evil doesn't even know that it is evil. Goodness does not even know that it is goodness. They just take instruction from you and manifest what exactly you want to happen. So who is responsible for all these things? The chaos in the world, the cheating in your relationship, the embezzlement of funds, the driver hitting the pole because he did not check the brake or the tire, the plane crashing down because of system failure. Who is responsible for the crashing? Who is responsible for the bomb blast? These nuclear weapons, who is responsible for them? Who is responsible for the drought and the erosion? Is it the hand of God or because we chose not to plant trees? Who is responsible for those little children under the bridge who have no home to stay? Who is responsible for the rape? Who is responsible for the lies? Who is responsible for the deceit? Who is responsible for everything you call evil? And then let's talk about a city without crime. Who is responsible for a state without crime? For a country without prison? Who is responsible? Who? You and I. Not the devil, not the God. The spirit of life has done enough by creating the vast majority of raw materials you need to either do good or do evil. So whatever you do with it, take responsibility. for it. My name is Greatman Ayilara. This is very difficult for you to understand, right? You will get it. Just don't listen to it once. Go back, listen again, over and over again. Write to me, greatmanayilara@gmail.com. Greatmanayilara@gmail.com. Just write to me. You have questions, be free to ask. You disagree with this, be free to also call me to a debate or a challenge. But whenever you do that, don't say the devil dials your phone to call me. Don't say the devil typed those things in your mail. Take responsibility from the little things and you realize that either your life turns out well or bad, you are responsible for it. Not God, not devil. The spirit of life has provided you all the resources and materials you need to make things happen. If you use them badly or use them good in good way, it is your own responsibility. When you are able to tell us that because you have a connection from the higher place, other people who are qualified for the job you got did not get the job, but you got it because you are not qualified, just because you have connection. If you can stand in front of the congregation and tell us how it all happened without saying, praise the Lord for me, or give thanks to this for me, you can now begin to learn how to take responsibility for those evil things that you do in the corner. When you cheat on your wife, it's not the devil, it is you. When you steal money, it is not the devil, it is you. When you choose to not wait for the traffic light and you kill someone, it is not the devil, it is you. And when you choose to obey constituted authority and do what is right, it is not God, it is you. It is just you. It is you. And because it is you, I have a project for you to join me with here. Now look at this particular picture right here behind me. This is a mother and a daughter. I was traveling one day, I was in a park and I saw them. The woman is blind, totally blind, survived so many gang rape in the park. And I met them. This child is 7 years old and they were begging for alms. The child is 7 years old. She ought to be in school. I was at that park 5:30 a.m. in the morning. The child ought to be sleeping or preparing for school, but she's there begging for alms and the mother is totally blind. We want to put them in a house. We want to get them a business that will sustain them. We want this child to go back to school. Can you partner with us? Can we stop saying God will provide? Can you provide for this need? We want to raise ₦1 million to just make sure we take them off the street and this woman don't get raped over and over again. We want to be able to put this child in school. We want to get them a house rent for like 3 to 2 years for them to stay off the street totally. Crystal Love Support Foundation do this effectively well because we have chosen not to give that credit of evil happening to this woman to the devil. And we have chosen to also relieve God of his duty. He won't come here to come do this for us. Only your token will get that done. Please, if you are led by whatever it is that is in you, there is a detail within. You can actually also support this particular project ongoing. Put your token in this particular account under this video. Just click on the caption or the detail of the video and you see the account to put the money on. You are responsible for this one too. If we allow her to be raped, be infected, if we allow this child to be abused, God is not responsible, devil is not responsible. We are responsible because when we ought to do it, we turn the blind eyes and we chose not to. God bless you, and may the spirit of life well up within you. May he give you whatever it takes to see the light. May you be awakened. May you be enlightened. I leave you with this scripture. Muslim or Christians, go to Google and search it out. 2 Peter chapter 1 verse 3 says that his divine power has given you all that you need to live this life and to also attain your highest level of divinity. His divine power. Whose divine power? The divine power of the divine spirit of this world, the source of life. What will you use the divine power to do? To just look away when the people need you? To be truthful when people expect you to lie? To be accountable when you ought to be a vessel? What will you use it to? It's within you. Take care of yourself now and see you some other time now. Are you a new subscriber? You know how it goes. Subscribe please and press the notification button by your right hand corner. Yeah, it won't cost you more extra. Take care of yourself and see you some other time. Bye. Welcome to another episode of Greatman Ayilara Teaching, where we seek simply to know. Please ensure to subscribe to this YouTube channel, turn on the notification button, and to share with your friends.